I regret to inform you, David, that we must, once again, save a lot of time this week.
Donald, what in the world are you doing now? Another bout of croquet? Another offensive stand-up gig? Some other dumb thing that I'm not remembering right now?
This isn't dumb, David. I just once more find myself with very little time to do the ad this week. I'm going to a protest with this date of mine about saving the rats.
Why in the world would the rats need saving?
No time, David! I gotta get to this protest and campaign with my fellow voting citizens to help save the rats in their most dire time. So I prepared a really short advertisement for us to do this week.
How much shorter can our ads get exactly? How much further can you push this?
I think this is the limit. There's surely no way in hellfire our ads can get any shorter than this.
Until you come up with another idea.
Well, we'll just have to see. If I can't think of a way, though, I'm sure we'll use it someday. But there's just not enough time this week to do a conventional ad, David!
But there seems to be plenty of time for you to protest about not having enough time.
There's just no time, David! We must do this! Here, I've prepared the script. It's all on this note card right here.
Alright. If there truly is no time, then I suppose we have no choice, do we? Really short ad is underway. Ready when you are.
Of course. Bad.
Bad?
Bad.
Good!
Good! Alright, thanks, David. I really needed this. Now I'm off to the protest! Save the rats! Save the rats! Save the rats!
Oh, I can't believe we've done this exact joke 3 different times already!
Welcome, fellow nerds, to another episode of The Ritwitch, the show with an ISBN number of 6942042042069. Nice. And high. Side note, we're recording this on 420. Barely, because it's almost midnight.
Let's just say 420 was very kind to people in the Mile High City, wasn't it?
Yes, in the very high state of Colorado. The first one where it was legal. Not that it stopped people before.
Yeah, it hardly stopped anybody.
It's like the Prohibition. As someone who writes a story about the 20s, let me tell you that the Prohibition stopped people from consuming alcohol.
Well, it's not like they drank in your story. And for more on that.
Yeah, it's coming out soon.
Yeah.
Tesla Knots. Actually, I'll get into when it's coming out.
Yeah, that's not this episode. But hey, while we're on talking about our episodes, welcome back, listeners.
Yes.
Thanks for joining us again. We're on a new set, and as you can tell from the title, we'll get to it, but this is going to be a fun one.
Yeah.
However, before we do, since it's the first episode,
yes,
what will we rip off from this month?
Yay, it's my turn, right?
Yes, you get to go first.
Oh, yay, okay.
Why do you think I'm doing the setups? Come on.
I don't know. Look, I don't read our notes. I don't prepare.
That explains a lot.
I don't do squat. Anyways, so I watched the latest Roland Emmerich movie. The guy who did Independence Day, Day After Tomorrow,
okay, sure.
2012.
Sure.
He loves his disaster movies, and the more ridiculous, the better.
Fair enough. Yeah, I agree with that.
His latest is by far his most ridiculous he's ever done yet, and you can tell by just the name, Moonfall.
Well, that's about on par with Independence Day, I suppose.
But the truth is, it's actually far more ridiculous than even the name implies.
What?
And to fully explain otherwise, we have to spoil it. So sorry if you haven't seen Moonfall yet, potential Moonfall fans.
Hey, don't knock it till you try it, right?
Yeah, it only grossed like maybe $2.
'Bucks. Okay.
About $10 in China, at least.
All right. So what's the, I guess, elevator pitch for Moonfall?
Let me go with how the movie starts and how it ends.
Okay.
So how it starts. Well, look at the name. It's Moonfall. The moon's falling towards the earth. It's gonna crash.
Well, I mean, it could have come towards the end if it's just. I mean, it's like a song title.
Well,
right?
I mean, that's the setup.
It's a suggestion.
It's like there's people looking at night. It's like, oh, the moon's looking a teensy bit bigger.
The sky is falling. The sky is falling.
Oh, this is a Chicken Little adaptation. Chicken Little, but given the Roland Emmerich treatment, now that'd be a hell of a movie.
That would be interesting. Sorry, about Moonfall, though.
Alright, so the moon's falling towards the Earth and it's going to crash, or more accurately, its orbit is declining and it's spiraling closer and closer to the Earth. And this is actually accurate. As it gets closer to the gravity of the Earth, the moon doesn't actually crash, it breaks apart because of the gravity of the Earth causes it to break apart and rain destruction upon the Earth. So, pretty just straightforward premise, right? Well,
I mean, very sciencey. Our friend would love it.
Yeah. Here's how it ends. You ready?
I don't know.
A previous civilization of advanced humans billions of years ago created Dyson spheres, captured stars' energy, and built the great interstellar empire. But let me finish. But their AI turned against them and started wiping them out with their own technology.
Okay, and this all came from the moon.
It'll all make sense at the end. And destroyed all but one of their Dyson spheres and wiped out their whole civilization.
Oh, good lord.
This one sphere, though, aided by different benevolent AI, had seeds to rebuild the civilization from the ground up, and so this sphere used the dust particles of the Earth solar system to create the Earth and reseed it with life, with the sphere actually being our own moon.
How is this still Moonfall?
Hold on, let me finish. So the AI that wiped out the prior human civilization, though, is back and redirected the moon/Dyson sphere towards the Earth. So a team of astronauts must go up to the moon and defeat the evil AI.
It's all a conspiracy.
Defeat the evil AI with the help of a good AI and the advanced technology from the previous human civilization aboard the station that is the moon, so the moon can go back to its original orbit. Yeah, I thought this was just about the moon falling to Earth.
I don't even know what to say anymore.
How the hell, you talk about elevator pitch, how the hell did Roland Emmerich pitch this?
I have no idea. That is, wow.
Wow. Yeah, the moon is falling to Earth, and then you add all this craziness. Now, look, let me get this out of the way. I love this movie. I think it's absolutely...
It does sound like up your alley, that's for sure.
I think it's absolutely ridiculous in the best possible way, but I can see how it lost the average person. It's asking the viewers to buy too much to make this premise work. Like you have the high concept, moon falling to Earth, and maybe just keep it simple, like a rogue planet going through the solar system. Rogue planets do exist, by the way, and some of them are huge. They go through the solar system and disrupt the orbit. It disrupts the orbits of the moon and make it start to spiral towards the Earth. And the heroes have to make an artificial black hole or something in a certain section of space to get the moon back to its prior orbit.
That's not a bridge too far.
Hey, look, the thing about our black holes is that they're usually Hawking
radiation. The
radiation.
with creating black holes is that they don't end supposedly.
Yeah, they do. It's called Hawking radiation.
Shows you what I know about science. Neil
Look,
deGrasse
to be
Tyson
fair,
can educate me.
Actually, Stephen Hawking made.
Well, Stephen Hawking, obviously, for the Hawking radiation.
Because he's the one who came up with the theory. To be fair, it's a pretty recent theory. But anyways, it's basically like two particles are always created and then destroyed, and then they always one of them. So these creators are created together. Particles are created together, then annihilated together, and then but with Hawking, what happens with a black hole is that one of the particles goes into the black hole, leaving the other particle without a partner to annihilate. But then they rather than annihilating the other particle, it it emanates from the black hole and lower. I'm no astrophysicist. Point is, black holes decay over time.
It is interesting. It's a great thing we're recording this right after dark, listeners, because I could almost look into the sky and think about stars.
And think about black holes in particular, like the one in my heart. Anyways.
Cannot be filled.
Anyways, but the point is, so what they could do is they could create a tiny black hole that decays right away, but creates enough of a gravitational sort of
pull
to just when its brief life, it pulls the moon back. So
oh my god,
that could work, but that's not the story Roland Emmerich wanted to tell. And
of course, it's not,
and that's the problem. Sometimes if you have a high concept story, keep it simple. Don't have a high concept and then.
You mean I should keep it mid?
Yeah,
rather than high?
Keep it a well. No, I mean, look, there's a high concept, and then there's a high concept.
I wonder, was he in Colorado when he pitched this movie?
Fun fact: the latter half of the movie, the part that's on Earth, is in Colorado. Oh, and it does this great thing that all movies seem to think about Colorado. All movies seem to think Colorado is nothing but mountainous snow. Snowy mountains just all around, always covered in snow, always mountainous.
Mountain towns are obviously picturesque if they're not snowed in completely.
Yeah, but no, every time I see Colorado in a movie, it's always in the mountains when it's snowing.
Like Vail near a ski area.
Yeah, it's always snowy mountainous terrain. Anyways, but so basically,
it's always snowy in Vail.
Yeah.
There should be a sitcom about that.
Yeah, that'd be pretty good. I've gotten to always had a fit love. Anyways, the point is, my theory is that Roland Emmerich tricked the executives that he was pitching this to.
He brought them to Colorado, let them indulge in the native greenery, and then pitched the movie.
He's like, hey guys,
this is this amazing thing.
The moon is falling.
Believe it.
The moon is falling. Sold! Here's the green light. Wait, I'm not finished yet. The moon is falling. But the moon was actually created. Get this by humans. But not us humans. Oh no. Except for it's like, okay, you will have the green light, but I'm going to take a little bit of that budget away from you.
Good luck making all these things CGI.
Oh no! Quick, we got to do practical effects. Quick, actually get the moon towards the Earth.
We need suits. pronto.
It's got to be real quick.
Would have called Japan probably.
Real quick. Christopher Nolan is getting a movie. He's making a movie called Oppenheimer, and since he's a master of practical effects, people are like, "Oh God, he's going to detonate an actual nuke, isn't he?"
Do it in a vacuum. Good luck with that.
Anyways, all right. Well, that's what I'm going to rip off. Basically, not rip off. Like, basically, if you have a high concept, don't add so much to that high concept. Just have the initial concept and stick to that.
Wouldn't it be nice?
Anyways, so what about you?
All right. I was thinking about being clever and making some comment how I nearly wanted to rip off the show Raising Dion based on a comic available on Netflix simply by the osmosis of hearing it over dinner since my sister became obsessed with the show.
Does it relate to the show Raising Hope?
I don't believe so.
Aww.
Only to first get angry that she insists on watching TV when we're trying to have family dinner. Then second, to realize that I completely forgot what I was actually going to rip off from it. Whoops.
Well, rip off versus what you're just going to, not rip off, like Moonfall.
The moon is not falling, it is rising away from Earth, and the tides are going nuts.
Science fact, it's already doing that. It gets like an inch away from the Earth every 1,000 years.
1,000 years? Well, it won't get far enough away in my lifetime.
In like a million years, or a couple million years, total solar eclipses will not be possible anymore. Because it's in that perfect sweet spot where the moon is the same size in the sky as the sun, because it's 400 times smaller, but also 400 times closer.
I'd say we're in the Goldilocks zone. Anyways. I mean, it's one of those things that I won't live to see it, but it is fascinating if you think about the recorded history of Earth and the strata of geology and fossils and stuff like that the span of human life on this planet is simply the blink of an eye.
It is. It's probably going to be over in the blink of an eye, too, anyway.
All by comparison, yes.
Anyway.
It won't feel that way to us. Anyway, it shouldn't surprise anyone who knows me. I'm a little late getting to the train on this one. Spider-Man No Way Home.
Hey, you would have been even later if it weren't for the fact that when we hung out last week, we were going to watch Shang-Chi. I'm like, hey, actually, let's watch this instead, because look, Disney, don't listen to this. Since you share my Disney Plus accounts,
we totally live in the same environment. What are you doing? All right. Spoilers incoming for those who haven't but intend to see it.
That's not that. No one exists at this. Well, I guess you would have been one of those people, but as of a week ago. Anyway, sorry, go on.
Fun treatment of a panned choice in the source material.
Not No Way Home. One More Day, right?
Yep. That with adjustments to fit the elements that MCU has on the chessboard for their use.
No Mephisto, despite what
exactly. There is no Mephisto.
Despite what everyone in WandaVision was thinking was going to happen. All the fans of WandaVision.
Agatha all along. Anyway, I love that it ties in the other films somehow, and the amount of returning talent they had was a real treat.
Yeah.
Probably would have to be a fanfic, and I guarantee if the property was large enough that balancing the cast would be worse than pulling teeth. But I would love to try my hand at a story that includes, air quotes, all the virgins. Before you really take the wind out of my sails, yes, I know, I'm completely aware it wasn't all Spider-Man treatments. I get it.
Well, so what you're talking about, like, what else do you got left? You got Miles Morales and Into the Spider-Verse, you got the Japanese Spider-Man on the TV show.
Mm-hmm.
Like,
I mean, yes, it's not all of the Spider-Man that they could have done, but because it was specifically a subset, they were cherry-picked, obviously, from the films that most people had seen years prior. It was so refreshing to see those Spideys on screen again.
It was.
Spoilers over for those of you worried about it.
Oh, I was going to add something, but we've already wasted enough time.
Now, if only I could invent about 20 more hours in a day to have the time to write out all these fleeting ideas, actually practice my instruments, get a decent day job, and, catch up on everything else I want to watch.
Well, sounds like... Hold on, what's the topic again? How do I do a segue? sounds
like I need a wish fulfillment character.
Speaking of which... Sounds like you really need to insert yourself into something. That's what she said. Speaking of which...
it wouldn't be us. In this set, we'll be talking about a certain type of poorly written characters that, in essence, are basically Mary Sue.
Yeah, I just feel like the term Mary Sue has been overused.
But I mean, come on. That term has been overused and falsely attributed to pretty much any female or minority character with any form of agency of any kind by a certain subsection of the internet.
There's one character of recent note that actually is a Mary Sue, and I will get to her.
Oh, gee, it's like we could avoid talking about that particular character in an episode well, an entire set about basically Mary Sue.
But she's the only one. I think we only talk about her once. So.
All right, we're restraining ourselves for once.
Yes.
All right. Anyway, we're not going to actually call them Mary Sue's or the male equivalent Gary Stews.
Yeah.
Specifically, at least not in our episode titles.
Like, I'm sure it'll be like, this is what a Sue is, or what.
Pretty much. The concept itself is still very much a problem in the world of writing, and they can be any gender and any race, so obviously the name Mary Sue doesn't hardly matter.
Yes.
Firstly, though, we're going to talk about what the original form of this type of character is. The self-insert character. Specifically, the overly self-insert character.
The overly. Wow, I was hiccuping my podcast juice. Remember when I used to drink
hard lemonade or whatever else?
Yeah, I miss those days.
I don't. Now, writers often inject themselves into their main character subconsciously, and there's nothing wrong with doing that. I mean, it's kind of impossible to avoid.
Right, what you know.
But what's the difference between simply writing what you know and versus an overly self-insert character?
See, writing what you know entails your life experiences, like what you do, who you know, what culture you come from, or what town you grew up in. An overly self-insert character is someone who, for all intents and purposes, is you with just a different name, and sometimes not even then.
Yeah, sometimes not. Trust me, source me.
I always think of that episode of Friends where, like, Joey's is having problems with work, and so Ross suggests he writes his own movie, and so that he can star in it.
Oh, Lord.
And then Ross like, just come up with your main character name. And Joey's like, done. And then Ross like, and it can't be Joey. And then Joey's like, it's not. And then Ross like, or Joseph. And Joey's like, oh.
Damn it. It's still not hot enough. Different Friends
yes,
reference.
Other Friends episode.
Different Friends reference.
Okay.
Anyway.
And what's more, not only are they you, they're also who you want to be. Someone without any of the struggles or flaws that you have to go through. Your crush, they're now your romantic partner. Your dream job, it's now your actual job.
It's so easy.
It becomes a very specific wish fulfillment aimed at one person, the author. Unfortunately, none of your other
Newsflash! Readers are not you!
None of the other readers are the author, yeah, exactly.
Oh my god.
Yeah, so, I mean, like, have you ever read those stories where it's just like, man, it's clear the writer wanted to be this guy?
Yeah, I mean... Now, I think that there's a bit of a line to draw between just wanting to be a character you really enjoy writing versus this kind of character.
Yeah, I guess that's true. But, like...
That said, we're talking about the ones that cross too far over that line into, most certainly, this is the writer's daydream fleshed out on page for you.
It would be like if our character that I'm overusing way too much, Stuart, wrote a story about a guy who was 14 years old, but was an esteemed film critic.
And his name was Hubert?
His name was Lubert. Or his name was...
It's funny because 14-year-old Edgelord, he might do that.
So this story, Lubert.
Lubert?
Anyways, so he's an esteemed film critic, and he gets everyone to agree that these movies are the best movies, and then Marvel Studios or whatever goes out of business. So.
Yes, very much wish fulfillment. All right, obviously we can't prevent writing what we know. It's not possible to do so because we know it. We don't know what we don't know. But hey,
I know what I don't know. A lot. Everything.
You're aware that you don't know many things.
Yeah, but I don't know those things that I don't know. I don't know those things I don't know. You're right.
That's why most writers have a particular lane that they stay in. I mean, obviously some are capable of transcending genres and stuff because they write about, I'll use Dean Koontz, everymen.
Yes.
As that example.
Well, yeah.
And, by the way, this is why research is very helpful for things beyond those bounds. Learn about something. Mm-hmm. When this extends to thinly veiled versions of themselves in the story is where they get into trouble. I used to do this with Power Rangers fic ideas. Oh. And how corny does it feel in hindsight? Plenty.
Oh, no, I bet you look at it and I'm like, wow, this is actually excellent.
This is amazing. Well, only amazing because I kind of wanted to be one, but that's beside the point. In fact, it was probably worse because not only was I involved, but literally my friends were too, with hardly changed names. Ironically, never Donald, though.
Aww.
hey, you didn't seem like the kind who really want to be a Power Ranger.
Well, and plus you probably had a mat, and then you had another mat. Like, wait, what? I can't do that.
Yeah, I didn't feel like doing that. There's a good reason that I gave up most of those ideas, rewrote a couple, and had to move on from the others.
Pharaon Storm, Olympian. What was the Greek one?
Olympus Force.
Olympus Force. I don't remember the rest.
That's okay. You don't need to. You're not missing out. To finish the AOM-inspired ones, though, there was Ocean Ancients, which was based on Atlantean.
Oh, Ocean Ancients, that's right.
And it was actually a sequel to Olympus Force because one of the characters from Olympus Force became one of the Rangers in Ocean Ancients.
Makes sense with Age of Mythology.
I never actually wrote it, though, which is kind of sad.
What was the Norse one?
The Norse one was called Snowfall Defense because I didn't like using force for everything. So I came up with Snowfall Defense, which is a really stupid name.
Snowfall Defense sounds like the guys to help people in a ski resort.
Sounds like Paw Patrol or something lame like that.
Well, it's like Paw Patrol's help and defend the ski resort from the Yetis.
There were Yetis involved. Anyways, there's a reason.
That classic classic Norse mythology monster, the Yeti from the Himalayan mountains.
The sad part about all of this is that none of the ones that he just mentioned that I extended on are the ones I'm talking about. None of them had self-inserts in them, actually.
Well, I figured as much because those four actually, they went on and became big and successful stories. Yeah.
Yeah, sure. They were based on ancient mythology, not on me or friends of mine.
Yes.
So there's that. But the biggest motivator for doing this practice at all, by the way, we can present idealized versions of us in stories without contemplating our own flaws that we don't really care for, ignoring the weaknesses we natively possess, and bound to do better in a fictional world than the real one.
I mean, the characters that I write in my books do all kinds of crap that there's no way in hell I could do. And that's the point of a story. But, just
I used to give you such a hard time about the whole roller coaster thing.
And then I proved you wrong.
And then you very much proved that you can indeed do it, and I cannot make that joke anymore. Anyway. Me. Yes, just toot your own horn some more. Yes. Speaking of which, what are the warning signs listeners should watch out for so their self-derived characters aren't guilty of being over?
If they start acting like you in littler ways, like they have some of your little ticks and quirks, that might be a sign that they're too much like you. Not a bad sign, but getting bad, you see. Like,
I'm not sure. If they have all of the same ones.
That's what I mean, like all of them. Like,
okay, if you're just talking about like one.
No, if they have like, this is a guy who does like I do, talks too fast.
All of the ticks that you have are in this character. Okay, that I can get on board with.
That's when it's like,
if you're just talking about any, that's kind of hard because that eliminates so many possibilities for storytelling.
This character breathes, I breathe. Therefore, it's
self-insert. He showers, I shower occasionally. So it's a self-insert. I was going to say,
wait, your character showers?
They never address it, but he really does. Anyhow, sorry, I just wanted to clarify that.
Yeah, but mainly if they have all your strengths amped up to 11, strengths you don't have, and also none of your weaknesses.
Oh, particularly those last two. Good lord.
Like, that's when you know you're going too far.
Yeah, I can understand that. I mean, like, it's one thing to acknowledge you have weaknesses and put yourself in situations that you don't struggle through them. Mm-hmm. It is completely different to gloss over them existing and pretend, oh, this is completely okay because this version of me, it's not a problem.
Right, exactly.
I mean, if the character has no discernible weak points at all, it's a bridge too far.
Exactly.
Should everyone get along with them because they're perfect, even when they do something legitimately dumb, wrong, or questionable, that's an immediate red flag.
Right, exactly.
Now, if you wrote a scene, or even the whole kit and caboodle,
oh yes, I like
for
kits and
that
caboodles.
For that interaction with your favorite characters and literally plotted out just that scene and like nothing else, yeah, it's not really going to be a great addition to the story.
Right, of course. But
I mean, it's like, oh, I want to put myself in a room with these characters. So for me, it might have been, and I actually never did this, believe it or not.
Yes.
I don't know if the listeners will believe it after what we already admitted to, but imagine, oh, I want to put myself in the command center with Power Ranger teens, And that's all I had. And there was literally nothing else. There's no reason for me to be there other than, oh, I want to talk to him, have a crush on her. She'll love me back. It's great.
I feel like you already have a crush on her. It sounds like the other part is the part that's not.
It has to be a two-way street. Anyways, you're not going to be a great addition to that story if literally that's the story.
Exactly.
Now, let's do our usual thing. We'll go back to an old patented word of the Ritwit. Let's get the fans some tipperoonies.
Ah, yes, the classic tipperoonies.
About what they can do to de-sue their inserted characters.
Give them flaws you actually have and make them consequential to the story. Like, I'm all too aware of my own flaws. Like, I stutter too much. I don't like conflict. Like, I'm always just like, please stop fighting.
Don't get in a fight on my behalf, please. No, that's not worth it. Stop it right now.
As much as I would like to, I'd like to think I'm the guy who like goes between two people. It's like, hey guys, knock it off.
And they actually stop.
It's like, guys, I'm like, please stop fighting. Mommy, get me out.
I can totally picture this. Not gonna lie.
Okay. Anyways, and I also try to please people too much.
I need to make this perfect for every reader ever. A negative review will kill me.
Was it that?
Maybe not exactly the words he said. But.
Also, was it that like stand-up comedian John Mulaney said at one point, like, you could spill hot soup in my lap, and I'd probably apologize to you. like
that is something he said. You're right.
So
you showed me that one.
Yeah, it's fun. Like so. Like, and like my namesake, I let people walk all over me.
Ba-doom.
Like the floor mat, right?
Like Donald?
Yeah, like a Donald.
Like a Donald.
So if I have a character like that, then I can make some of those flaws part of their character arc, you might think. Have them eventually overcome them. It can be quite rewarding and almost cathartic for your own self.
Wait, whoa. That's not possible. Okay, it actually is. More on that.
I was gonna say, like, hey, knock it off, step aside, like, let's calm down, everyone. Right. But that's more of your like. It can be cathartic for your own self to see a character based off of sort of your flaws overcome those flaws. But it's more of a you benefit than a story one. But it's still nice.
Yeah. Speaking of self-insert characters, and the point you just brought up reminded me of a story I wrote for a English class in high school.
Yeah.
And it was cathartic. Like, it was about as close as I was getting to the rebellious phase, and I ended up writing a character who was in a similar station of life and did not rebel. And all of a sudden, I didn't care to anymore. It was great.
That's nice.
It was amazing.
I like how you got
actually works out.
The closest you got.
And I got an A.
That's good. I like how you like this closest I got to the rebellious phase. Not that you ever got there. It's like, my rebellious phase is like, I'm going to sneak into a PG-13 movie, and I'm 12.
Me? Yeah, totally not. Well, I mean, that's the kind of person that I am, though. My mom will attest to the fact that I was a much easier teenager than my brother. It's because he gave me such great examples of not to do. Anyway.
All right. Well, what about you, though?
All right. So here's my tipper. It's actually going to go different kind of old school, and we'll go step-by-step guide for you. May help. Step 1. Verbally acknowledge why this character's in the story.
Yes.
Step 2.
Yes.
If that answer was, because I wanted it, and little else, you need to consider removing the character completely.
Oh.
You might even stop writing the story at that point, by the way.
Oh, harsh.
Step 3, find a compelling reason they truly need to be in the story.
Oh.
Step 4, determine if another existing character can indeed fulfill that purpose, short of your own bias or determination to hang with your quote-unquote best friends.
But I want to hang out with my best friends.
To wit, an insert where they literally removed a Power Ranger because they would be a better Ranger and it was their least favorite character. Not a good reason for existing. End of story. Step 5. Repeat as necessary until every character you did include has a legit part to play in your narrative.
Yes.
Oh, and if it's still some version of you, turn on the whole faucet and let all your insecurities, your problems, and your real self actually shine through.
But I really want to have that character when there's a fight going. It's like, please stop fighting.
Stop fighting.
Please
stop.
Too much noise.
Too much noise might be.
Too much noise. Too much angry emotions.
I'm getting too much red from you guys. Stop it, please. You're making me sick.
Speaking of red, we'll get to my answer here for a second.
Oh.
You'll see. Hold on.
Gotcha. If you want your character to be based on yourself, to tell your story or give your perspective, how do you make them not a self-insert? Do they even have to have the same personality or life as you at all, or simply the same background?
Well, this is what I meant by the red thing.
Yeah, no, I saw
So
that.
earlier this year, a Pixar movie came out called Turning Red. And it's about a 13-year-old Chinese-Canadian girl in Toronto in the year 2002. I watched this and I was like, that's oddly specific. Then I watched the Disney Plus making of featurette and found out that's pretty much exactly the background of the director. She is also a Chinese-Canadian who grew up in Toronto. And what's more, she was born in 1989, which means she was 13 in 2002.
Right at the time that those things might be happening.
You know, it's funny, I was watching this, I'm like, 2002, a simpler time. And I was like, wait, it was right after 9/11, wasn't it?
Yeah, but because it's Toronto, I think they don't really mention it in the movie.
They don't. And in fact, there was this very mimetic review. Someone's like, I'm mad at this movie for not even mentioning 9/11.
It's Canada! Come on!
Yeah, anyway, so the point is, it wasn't a simpler time, but...
Well, it was a simpler time for us personally, because literally we were like 10, 11.
Yeah, I guess that's true.
But otherwise, no.
No, I mean, it wasn't
all the bad stuff in the world.
It wasn't a simple
different
era.
Stuff in the world.
Anyways, so the key difference comes from the character's personality, characters, and her friends, her antics, her interests, and the fact that she turns into a giant ram panda while excited to do a family curse. A curse that only affects the women in the family and first appears when they turn 13.
Okay, it could have been at any other age. It just happened to be 13, but still.
No. For every other character, it is when they turn 13.
Right, but I'm saying, they could have made it more realistic by portraying that somebody in the family got it at 12.
Right, but basically, well, it's not just you turn 13. It happens whenever. It's just around when they turn 13. But yeah, the puberty and menstruation metaphors are plainly apparent.
No.
Hell, the movie's called Turning Red.
I knew somebody who referred to it as visiting Aunt Flo, and I thought that was the best euphemism I'd ever heard.
My favorite is from my favorite and your favorite movie, Clueless.
Oh, God, the second time we brought that up tonight. Not on the podcast was the first time, but anyway.
So, when, she was trying to deal with some of her tardies at one point, the teacher said she had 2 tardies, and she was like, I object, you recall the date of these alleged tardies? And the teacher was like, one was last Monday. She's like, oh, I was surfing the Crimson Wave. I had to haul ass to the ladies.
The Crimson Wave is actually pretty good. Gotta give
give
it credit.
That movie's really well written.
Yeah, this one though, the Pixar recently, it's not so subtle though. However, with its metaphors.
Point is that the director used her background to have a starting off point and add some diversity to the Pixar lineup, but the character in question isn't much like her, and I think that's a good way to do it.
I mean, it's inspired by, but it isn't her.
Yes,
literally, and that's helpful. If you make some key differences, the general public in your audience won't really know how James is different from Jamie.
Ooh.
Random names. Only those closest to you will realize this. We should always protect the innocent by altering names, of course.
Yes.
And sometimes writers show more creativity in that simple swap over just, they happen to sound kind of similar. Gee, I wonder, the guy's name is Ron. I think I'm going to call him John.
Whoa. John.
Novel. Hey, I'll add the H. It'll be an extra letter. It'll be different.
John Breesley.
I just got
I like how it took you a second.
Why the hell Oh.
You know what's kind of funny? One I realized recently, and actually I didn't realize it was pointed out to me. Well, because it's not an insert at all. It's just like a funny sort of Easter egg. You know, Transformers, right? Megan Fox's character is called Michaela Baines. And I'm like, Michaela Baines? Who directed? Michael Bay! Oh my god.
I had never noticed that.
Yeah, I didn't notice until someone pointed it out to me. Michaela Baines, Michael Bay. I'm like, oh.
Things you'll never unsee. That said, it's possible to do more things with name swap than just, let me change one letter here, make me change pronunciation here. Mm-hmm. All characters need some platform for them to grow on.
Yes.
Unless they're only appearing at a single point in the story you tell.
Oh, I think there could be a pouring if they're surfing the Crimson Wave.
And he's just invented a way to keep that in. Great. Anyway.
Anyway, sorry, go on.
Credit.
Thank
credit
you.
Where credit is due.
Thank you.
So they start with flaws. They work through those and possibly grow past them. Mm-hmm. Their ideas can be challenged And they may change from page 1 to page final.
Oh, yes.
Since we're all works in progress, believe me, the same can be true without being so very much you.
I don't think I'm a work in progress. I think I'm a fully fleshed out and complete human being.
Okay, the stories you published, buy them on Amazon.com. Bing! Maybe you...
Nah, I don't think I have any more learning to do. I think I figured it all out at this point.
Well, I guess it's the end of the Ridwood, folks. No, I'm just kidding. Besides, the audience is guaranteed to find something more relatable if the characters in your cast have shortcomings in common with them versus the perfect character that is also a self-insert.
Yes. And like that's the whole point of this all, really. It's just like, yeah, I can have a self-insert, I guess, but not really. Just don't make him overtly self-insert.
I mean, the problem is not having something similar to yourself. The problem is letting them be ideal versions of you.
Yes.
I think that's kind of the consensus we've come to, which means that we can probably get off the topic.
Yes.
So I'd say that's it for the week.
Yes, I would. A huge thank you to all our patrons so far.
Very much.
Including Jesse, by the way. I should mention
thank you
that
very
recently.
much, Jesse. We appreciate all your support. If you're interested, check out patreon.com/Matthew Donald for more information.
Yes, you can contact us at mattd@MatthewDonaldCreator.com for agenda questions to either co-host. You can follow our other podcasts like mine, Paleo Bites.
Yep, or you can check out Nerds Are Us. We have a Discord server if you're curious to follow David, me personally, that kind of fun stuff. But we can also, as ever, follow Donald on social media. And how do we do that?
Yes, you can follow me at Matthew Donald Creator on Facebook, at MatthewDonald64 on Twitter, and MatthewDonald64 on Instagram. Why 64? Because how many boogers I pull out of my nose in the average day. I have a real booger-filled nose.
I have more than that, but I still haven't put my freaking Twitter handle for it.
Look, I'm very open about who I am.
You are very open.
And speaking of open...
It almost sounds like you're farting.
Well, and I'm farting on my nose. It's called a snort.
That's a lovely combination.
It's called a snort.
It's a good thing that this is not video, folks. This is why. Have a great time. Until next time, keep on writing the good writs.
We've writing the good rights.
Wow, we really botched that. It's been too long.
I'm Matt Donald.
I'm Matt David. Come back next time where we talk about a different kind of not Sues. But you'll see.
They're basically sues, but we're not calling them that.
You'll see next time.
We don't want to get sued.
All right, bye. Stay tuned. Bye.
The
Save the rats! Save the rats! Save the rats!